part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another Reghi and Roda podcast right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. And as always, we start things off with the man, the myth, the legend. He makes sure all of you out there in the podcatosphere are able to get the R&R podcast on a regular basis. That would be our outstanding producer, Ty Cordts. So, Ty, a tip of the cap to you. And Michael Reghi, finally, no meaningless bullshit football to deal with in the preseason. Not wondering who's going to play at quarterback, who isn't going to play, who they're all going up against. And it matters this week. We're taping on a Wednesday night. We wanted to wait till midweek to get some injury reports and stuff like that to preview the Browns and the Cowboys in week 1 in the NFL. But thank goodness all that other crap is over with.
Well said. Very well said. Yeah, it counts now. It's for real, and there's going to be, even as the season begins, there will be jobs that will be at stake, and bad starts for quarterbacks, bad starts for offenses. We know how coaches these days, Kenny, seem to have a little desire to go too far with struggling offenses, especially defenses as well. But I'm really glad it's here, and for the Browns, I mean, this start on Sunday, I think it's important that they get off. We've talked about this before, to a solid beginning in this first quadrant, this first 4 games of the year.
Cowboys at Jaguars, Giants at Raiders are the first 4, and then after that, you've got at Commanders, at Eagles. So when you look at that opening portion of the schedule, Reg, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away games, 2 home games. They were 8-1 at home last year, right? So they played better at home. On the road, and we'll get to those eventually, but that's where that defense needs to get better. But the Cowboys, America's team, Tom Brady's first game in Cleveland Sunday, partly cloudy skies, 65 degrees. At now Huntington Bank Field, where the Browns will host the Cowboys. How about that? What a way to start the season and getting some cash in the naming rights for the Haslams.
Well, yeah, good for them, like they need anymore. But it will remain, Roadman, it will remain Cleveland Browns Stadium to moi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is. And it was that when I came to this town in 1984, and to me, that's the way it's always going to be.
I hear you. A lot of people feel the same way, still call it Jacobs Field over there at Progressive Field. So to each his own on that. Michael, what are you expecting this week? I was talking with my partner on WHBC, the Kenny and JT show, and JT and I, defensively, we think we know what we're going to get. Offensively, I have no clue what to expect from an offense that I don't know who's starting at right tackle or left tackle. I don't know how good Deshaun Watson's going to be in his first game in over 300 days. Jerome Ford at running back, Jerry Jeudy, who they paid a crap ton of money to. I have no idea what to expect from this offense. What about you?
I'm pretty much with you. You and I have already alluded to the fact. We'll go into a depth on it now, but hey, I mean, there's no way around this. This is all going to be about, especially in this first portion of the season that we mentioned. Is Deshaun Watson going to come out and be the type of, I don't know, you tell, top 5, top 6, top 7, Kenny, for sure. I don't think he was any lower than that during his strong days as a Houston Texan. Now, if he can return to that type of play through his performance, I feel real good about the Browns, right? A little bit of concern without Nick Chubb about this run game. Ken, I don't know. And if I'm wrong, great. I'm not as high right now over the long haul now. I'm not as high on Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong and I guess Dante Foreman is in that backfield, in that room as well. Some people have told me, Reg, no, you're wrong about that. These guys, okay, I'm willing to see if that takes shape, and if I'm wrong about it, great, because that's all the better for the Browns. I'm a little bit concerned, though, Ken, about if this run game is going to flourish enough to really assist Watson with his ability to, bring enough to the Browns' passing attack and pass game that is going to make this a balanced offense and an offense that, let's be honest, I mean, can take over games in the second half and win, right? Put this team in a position to win.
Reg, I was thinking back to when he played with the Houston Texans, right? And I remember the comment from Dabo Swinney when he was coming out of college.
Yeah.
And Dabo Swinney warned people, say, you don't draft him, you're going to be passing up on Michael Jordan on the football field. That's what Dabo said. Remember
his
that?
College coach.
Yep. Yes. Won a national championship there, right?
Yep.
At Clemson, and, had high praise for him. And, early on in Houston, before all the stuff went bad off the field, he was putting up numbers where he was backing up what Dabo said, right? Looked like the future was very bright, so bright in Houston, everybody had to buy sunglasses, right? And then it all started to go bad with some injuries and off the field issues. And the next thing you know, he's sitting out a year, getting paid, and then they trade him, and the Browns give up the kitchen sink, the dishwasher, the refrigerator, everything in the kitchen for him, right? And this is his third year with the Browns, and he's only played out of a possible 34 games, 12 games, Michael Reghi. He's 8-4, which is a good record, but that's over 2 years. He was 6-1 last year. So 5-1 last year. And so if you're looking for glass half full, hey, as a starter, he's 8-4 in 12 games. Glass half empty, can't get on the field for whatever reason. What's the best ability? Availability. Well, he needs to be available for all 17 games, and he needs to play like he did in his Houston career and not statistically what he's done for the Browns.
Without question. And even more so, Ken, in my mind, we know there's at times a bit of a difference between just what you see physically on the football field. I'm a big believer, Ken. Does this coaching staff, does this offense, does everybody on that side of the football too have ultimate faith and belief in him that he's going to be the guy that is going to, again, I mean, this is all the Browns got to get to the playoffs. And probably, I think you and I touched on this a couple of shows ago.
Yep.
I mean, to me, AFC championship game at the very least.
Right.
At the very least. And then, from there, obviously, you got to see how that 3 hours goes on the football field. But if they can't he cannot lead them and take them with enough of his quarterbacking proficiency and efficiency to get to the AFC title game. And Ken, what the hell are we talking about here?
Right.
I mean, there's a heavy price tag that goes with this. And so as I said, I pose that to you. I mean, do you think he's got, because the room, man, his teammates, I'm not 100% sure. Do they have the ultimate belief in him that he's going to be the guy to lead them?
They're saying all the right things because they have to, Michael. I don't know if anyone in that locker room, and I'm talking about the players, can, if they had the lie detector test, hooked up to them, right? And they had to answer questions. I don't think there's anybody in there that can say, definitely, he's going to lead us to the promised land. He looks fantastic. We believe in him, because they don't know. He's only played 12 games, and this roster has changed offensively over the last 3 years, right? And he hasn't done anything other than practice with them this year. So there is no way anybody in that locker room, in that front office can tell me with certainty that, yes, Deshaun Watson is back. He's ready to go, and he's going to be that guy that threw for 4,800 yards back in 2020 with the Houston Texans. No way they can tell me that.
That's legitimate, and it's extremely fair. So I guess what we're saying here is this is about the games are beginning. They count. They're for real. And we're going to start finding out on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. And, I don't know. I can't sit here and tell you that I feel, to me, for the Browns to do the things we're talking about, he's got to return just in terms of his physical play, Ken. He's got to get back closer to that 2020 season as a Houston Texan that we just alluded to a couple of times. I mean, that's what it's going to take to get this, because you're going to be without Nick Chubb.
Right.
Don't know for how long, but you're going to be without him to begin the football season. And so there's a lot on the plate of Deshaun Watson in this offense, because they've got to come out and produce, Kenny. I mean, they've got to be able to average 24 to 27 points a game, right? Somewhere in there. To feel comfortable, and we know everybody feels like this Browns defense is you pick the number, one of the top half dozen to 10 in the NFL. Well, they're going to have to I think they are going to be under the microscope a little bit to live up to that, Ken. And help Watson and this offense. Can you win the Cleveland Browns, could they win a football game against a good team 17-14? I don't know. If necessary, I guess we're going to find out. But I think there's so much at stake for this team. And yet you got to look at, at both sides of the football, and we're going to start finding out answers this week. But I think we know everyone's expecting this offense to take a strong leap with the Deshaun Watson of days gone by running it. And we're going to find out against Dallas right away.
Yes.
Can he live up to that and make that part of what we look at as the norm for the Cleveland Browns? Got a good quarterback. He's productive. He's a leader. He's effective, and it gives a chance for the Browns to win every week. Well, that's what the hope is. That's what he's here for. Now we're going to find out if that can be reality. And as you just said, we've only seen it in small doses. I mean, he's got to play all 17, or I think did we 15?
No.
At least 15.
I need him, okay? If Patrick Mahomes is playing 17 games, right? Yeah. If Josh Allen's playing 7, this is who he's supposed to be at the same level with, right? If they're playing every game, I need him to play all 17 games. Now, that may be pie in the sky because he hasn't proved he could do that since he's come over to the Browns. So would I take 15? Yes, but I'm expecting that he's going to play all 17
that's
if
fair.
This team's going to have to, to challenge for this division.
That's fair. Absolutely. And so since you just brought it up, give me your thoughts quickly on the other three members of this division. Are they going to be football teams? Are all three of them capable of that? We know what this division is. It's been very, very evenly distributed over the course of the last many years. Do you still feel that all three of them can be the pace setter and win the AFC North? The other three besides the Browns. So all four of them counting.
Right. Here's the way I look at it. I look at the Ravens and the Bengals as the top two teams in the division. And then I look at the Browns and the Steelers. And I think it comes down to, because let's be honest, Browns' best Best part of their team's their defense, my opinion, okay? With Jim Schwartz running the show, defensive player of the year in Myles Garrett. Denzel Ward is a cover corner. Hopefully he can stay concussion free and be out there, right? JOK emerging as a linebacker. Good rotation on that defensive line. Fix things up on the road defensively. So defensively, they're fine. Steelers defensively, they're fine with TJ Watt leading the way. Cam Hayward still there in the middle of that defensive line, right? That their linebacking core. Patrick Queen now on board. Minkah Fitzpatrick anchoring the backside of that. Defensively, they're fine. Which one of those two teams, Browns, Steelers, is going to get the play from their quarterback that they need to challenge the Ravens and the Bengals? I believe in Jackpot Joey. One team, one heartbeat, go Tigers. Jackpot Joey, right, Burrow?
Yeah.
I'm not a full believer in Lamar Jackson. I think he gets it done like Dak Prescott in the regular season, and then he disappears in the postseason, right? But as far as the regular season goes, there's Lamar and Jackpot Joey, Ravens and Bengals at one level, and then there's Browns and Steelers below that at the other level, because Russell Wilson, I'm not a believer in him. Justin Fields, he can't throw the ball, can't read defenses from what I've been told and what I've read, right? Yep. One of those two is going to be their starter. Supposedly they're going to try and use Fields like Slash Cordell Stewart from years gone by. And then Deshaun Watson. How about this year, these 3-year numbers for Deshaun Watson in Houston? From 2018, 19, and 20. He threw for 12,700 plus yards, 85 touchdowns in 3 years, 1,400 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns rushing. So he averaged over that 3-year stretch for the Houston Texans, and this is why the Browns traded for him. 4,200 yards passing, 28 touchdowns passing, 5 touchdowns rushing, and about 450 yards rushing.
Enormous production. That's enormous production.
That's Pro Bowl caliber, all pro caliber,
right. That's
top 10, top 5 stuff, right?
Yep.
That's what they need him to be this year. He needs to get back to that level if the Browns are going to have any chance of challenging for the division or winning a playoff game. If he doesn't come close to that, don't care how good the defense is, Browns won't get it done.
I'm in line with that. And look, this is what we looked at, look at the entire schedule. Look, schedules are what everybody's got to play tough games. Everybody's got tough 3 and 4 week stretches where you're maybe on the road for 3 or 4. The bottom line, Ken, to me, I need to see this football team go 11-6 at least. At least 11-6. They'll make the playoffs at 11-6. Might not win the division, but will make the playoffs. Anything less than that, Ken, I don't know if we can consider it a success and consider it putting themselves and giving themselves the best opportunity to be a strong playoff team and to advance in the playoffs. Because, again, I don't hear about schedule or, the division's tough. Yeah, well, you know what? Almost virtually every team in the NFL can say that about, some situation they have, right, Ken? Whether it's their division, whether it's the schedule, whether if they've got a couple of key guys that can't go for 3 and 4 week stretches. You know what? It all really doesn't matter, right? Yep. As our great, late, great, dear friend, Jeff Sindelar would say, you're just smoking your shorts if you're talking about all that stuff, right?
Yep.
Look, everybody's got to deal with it. And so this is, the Browns got a lot at stake, and they've got to be able to make this happen and have it materialize for a million different reasons, Kenny Roda. And that's just not the $250 million they're paying Deshaun Watson. There's a whole lot of reasons this has got to be a real strong year for them.
Here's what I will do. I won't give an exact prediction on the Browns record in their 17 games. I'm going to give you from this to this is where I think they can finish. I think they can go anywhere from 8-9 to 10-7. I think 10-7 is the max looking at their schedule, especially when you go down the stretch and you see that it's at Steelers, home Chiefs, at Bengals, home Dolphins, at Ravens. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
that's
playoff
December,
teams.
right? That's
Yeah.
December and early January.
Oh,
yeah.
And Broncos, that's not going to be easy on the road on a Monday night in the Mile High City. They always have trouble going out there, right? So add that one to that as well, but I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. So they better do well in the early portion of their schedule because that's a meat grinder coming down the stretch to close out the regular season and try and get into the postseason. So I'm going anywhere from an 8-9 record to a 10-7 record for the Browns based on the schedule and the uncertainties of Nick Chubb, when he might return, Deshaun Watson. I don't know how he's going to play. And even if they get Conklin and Wills back, can they both stay healthy for the entire damn year, which never seems to be the case for either one of them?
You're right. And see, that's something, our mindset as, guys that do this sort of thing to make our living. See, those are the type of things, too. When your offensive line, you just named two prominent guys from a 5-man offensive line that, Roda, we're not sure about. We're not sure from week to week if they're going to pad up and be ready to go. Man, that can be double disaster, buddy. I mean, listen, you don't have an offensive line that you can count on, and guys that play 1 week and can't play for the next 2, and then you look, when are we going to get them back, man? That's not the way to go through a season for a team with high expectations. And we don't know about Jed Wills and Jack Conklin. We just don't. And if you're trying to say, they'll be good. No, you can't. No. What would give you the wherewithal to make that kind of statement? We don't know if they're both going to be good.
Right.
And quite frankly, even if I don't think they're all pros, either one of them. So good player, sure. I mean, you want them on the field. You want them to be, part of that 5-man offensive line group. Yes. I mean, are they all pros anyway? I don't think so.
No. They're the best of what you have, Reg.
Well,
that's what it is. Along with DeJuan Jones, but he's only a second-year player, right?
That's right. Shows a lot of promise.
Yep.
Looks like he's going to be a real good one, but this is his second year. Sometimes we see guys that can play well as rookies maybe take a little bit of a dip their second year when now the league and those that they're playing against are familiar with them and start to adjust somewhat, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, that's always a thing, too. We got to find out if DeJuan Jones is going to be able to maintain his growth. Really needs to. But again, the health of those two we talked about, and not sure when the hell they're, like I said, they play 1 week and then you see them that they're banged up, they miss practice, they're doubtful. Tough to play that way with your offensive line, Ken.
Here's what we knew from today. Like we said, we're taping this on Wednesday night. Jack Conklin reportedly has been practicing at left tackle. Jed Wills came back to practice for the first time today since he had surgery in December on his knee. So they asked Jed Wills how he was doing. He said, I'm not starting on Sunday. So that leads me to believe that Conklin, if he doesn't hurt himself between now and then, will start at left tackle. DeJuan Jones will be at right tackle. The interior of the line, you're fine. You got Petonio, you got Posick, and you got Wyatt Teller. You're good there. But the bookends, DeJuan Jones, okay, good. And then if it's Conklin, if not Conklin at left tackle, then it's Hudson. And if it's Hudson against Michael Parsons Parsons, forget about it. That's going to be a long night, and Deshaun may get injured in game 1.
No, exactly. And here's the other thing, too, that, again, I don't want to get too technical or get into a whole bunch of X's and O's here. But I will say that we know Jack Conklin is solid as a right tackle. Now he's moving over to the left side. Well, let me just say that position is a whole different ball game now.
Yep.
A whole different element than playing on the right side as he's done his entire career. Do you hope his veteran capability kicks in? But Kenny, I can't look at you with a straight face and tell you, that's nothing to worry about. Conklin will just move over and everything will be cool. No, we don't know that. Nobody knows that. It's a whole different realm playing on at that left tackle spot than he spent his whole career at right tackle.
The
And he's
last
been a
time,
good one.
yeah, the last time he played left tackle was at Michigan State. How many years ago was that? And that's, so there is some experience, but not at this level. And your footwork coming off knee surgery and the ACL, the MCL, everything that was torn in there.
Yep.
And then you got to go up against the Defensive Player of the Year candidate and Micah Parsons, who's right up there with Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. That would be a tough ask. Hey, here's what I suggested on the Kenny and JT show. I say they start both Jed Wills and Conklin on the left side. Make Wills a tackle eligible on every play and have both of them out there and let DeJuan Jones start on the right side and go with that formation to protect Deshaun Watson in week 1.
Okay. All right. Duly noted. We'll put you down for that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I just because, like I said, and again, he's been a good player. He's been a good right tackle, good offensive lineman. Not great,
right?
But good.
Was all-pro 1 year at right tackle. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
He was all-pro. Conklin was all-pro 1 year at tackle. So he had one great year, but the rest have been average, in my opinion.
At right tackle.
Yeah.
So now he's moving over to, and we know, I mean, look at the situation the Browns got themselves in that position to begin with. That's why this move is having to be made. And you're playing a guy that has never played there in the NFL. And again, you say, yeah, he's a veteran. I'm telling you, it's a whole different deal moving over to that left side. I hope that doesn't become Kenny on Sunday. I hope next week we don't have to say, see, told you so. Right. This wasn't going to go well.
Yeah. And how about this? The irony in all of this is they should have drafted Tristan Wirfs from Iowa instead of Jed Wills.
Yes.
And who did Wirfs end up blocking for and winning a Super Bowl with? Tom Brady. Who's doing the game this week? His first as an NFL analyst, Tom Brady. So all of it comes full circle,
That's right.
With that offensive line. All right, Reg, I'll ask you for this. Your thought, who wins on Sunday? I'm going to tell you, I am not betting this game.
Yeah.
I have no idea. If push came to shove, gun to my head, whatever, right? I'm going to, because they were 8-1 at home last year, and this is game 1, and Dallas is traveling, and CD Lamb held out, and the Cowboys have, I think, 2 rookies starting on their offensive line.
Yeah.
And Ezekiel Elliott is back for his second go-around as their feature back. If I had to pick somebody, I'll take the Browns by 3 on a Hopkins field goal at the buzzer, but I'm not confident in that pick.
Yeah, well, if I did that, it would be just what I want to see happen, Ken.
Yeah.
And kind of, being homerish, quite frankly. I unfortunately don't think this is going to be a strong opening beginning for the Browns. So, again, I love you hey, you all tell me, hey, right guy, you were wrong. No. But I think Dallas will win this opener in Cleveland on Sunday.
Right now, the spread as we speak, 2.5 in favor of the Browns, over under at 42.5. If you wanted money line odds, Browns minus 145. So bet 145 to win 100. Cowboys bet 100, you win 120. So those are the numbers for all of you out there who
you're not touching this, huh?
I'm staying away.
Touching it,
Reg. Staying away from it.
I'm not either. Neither am I. I gotta see first. You're right. The Browns always, to me, bring their best football out. They've done this for years. They bring their best football out here at home.
Yep.
The lakefront. I mean, there's no disputing that. At times, I tell you that you're not sure if it's the same team when you see them at home, and then sometimes they go on the road. But even with all of that having been said, I don't know. I think Dallas will do enough to win on Sunday.
And take this for what it's worth, and another factor maybe. Under Kevin Stefanski, Browns are 3-1 in openers. Season openers, they're 3-1. They've won their last two.
Yep.
So, will he have an edge over Mike McCarthy? Will Deshaun outplay Dak? Will Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy outdo CD Lamb? So Micah Parsons and the Myles Garrett. So there are a lot of storylines, a lot of tentacles to this one to keep an eye on Sunday with Brady and company doing the game. And of course, afterwards, we'll break it down and give you our thoughts on what we saw in game number one of week number one for the Browns in the NFL.
Yeah,
all right,
and
go ahead.
all of you are wonderful, our viewers and listeners. That's our intent, Kenny and I.
Yep.
Is after each Browns game, we will do a show. Afternoon game, we'll do a show that evening, and so that'll be up and ready to roll on Monday morning in most cases.
Right, and we'll also drop in midweek during the playoffs, hopefully with the Guardians going far and the Cavaliers starting up at the end of this month. So one a week, maybe two a week, depending on what's going on.
Right.
But we'll have you covered here on the Press Play Podcast Network with the R&R Podcast. All right, let's get a break in, Reg, and come back and talk about those Guardians, because the last time we got together, the ship was sinking. It was taking on water. They were tied for first place with the Kansas City Royals, and now they're not. And where are they at? We'll tell you when we come back on the R&R Podcast.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tybus Powell.
And we are your hosts of the Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tybus, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
We continue with the Reghi and Roda podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network. And Michael, yes, the NFL season, week number one, happening this weekend. College football, I guess you could say 2 weeks into it. High school football for me at WHBC Radio, year 80, week number 3 already. Hard to believe. But the Guardians, the home stretch, the last time we talked on the R&R podcast, they were tied, I believe, with Kansas City, who had beat them 3 straight at Progressive Field. Now, the Guardians survived and didn't get swept, took back first place. And, Michael, since then, the Guardians have been on a roll, and the Royals, just the opposite. They went into a slump, a losing streak of 6 straight. And as we speak, the Guardians lead the Twins by 4.5. And if they lose tonight against the Royals.
Right at the moment, buddy, Don, I mean to interrupt you. Right at this very moment as you speak, it's now 5 because the Twins have lost.
Okay, so it's
tonight.
5 now, but if the Guardians lose tonight, then it'll be 4.5.
That's right.
And then the Royals will be 4.5. The Royals lead as we speak 4-1. So there's a chance with Lugo pitching tonight. The Royals you probably going to hold on and win that game. But how shocked are you, surprised are you that they've been able to turn it around by winning that last game at home against KC, taking 2 out of 3 from Pittsburgh and what looks to be 2 out of 3 now from Kansas City on the road before going to the Dodgers?
Mildly and happily surprised, Ken, because I thought this team was starting to spring leaks take on water and that whole deal here, but they managed to go 6-4 in the last 10.
Yep.
And they've picked up a couple of games, as we know, but because both, as we said, Minnesota and KC, they've both been 3-7 in their last 10. So the Guardians have been able to add a little bit of space to their lead. And Kenny, I feel good. This is game number, so 22 games left after tonight. Honestly, you like them to go better than this. But Ken, to me, if they go win tonight and then go 12-10, is that too much to ask? It's just basically playing 500 ball, a little bit better. In the last 22, you're looking at a 92-93 win team.
Yep.
Which should win the division. Should win the division. This would be win number 81 tonight for the Guardians. Minnesota and KC have both won 75. So, and they're 6 games down in the loss column, which is
right.
important. You can't make a loss up. So the Guardians are they're in a good spot right now. They're in a real good spot into September now, as we said, with now less than just a touch over 20 games to play.
They control their own destiny. They've been in first place or tied for first place, Michael, since I think the first week of April. Yes. All right. So they've been at the top in the penthouse looking down on everybody else, and they control their own destiny with 22 left, after tonight. And I'm looking at the schedule right above me here where we're taping our podcast. Dodgers on the road for 3, White Sox on the road for 3. You go 500 on the road in those final 6 games. I'll take that, right? 500 baseball right there with the Dodgers mixed in. Then you play 13 of your last 16 at home. And so for me, the magic number, I think, is to guarantee you the win in the division, 93. If you get to 93, now I know that's not the official magic number. It was 20 going into tonight's action. But for me, win total magic number, get to 93 wins, you'll win this division. And, they've got 4 head-to-head with Minnesota. So that's going to be a big home series there. Then they've got 2 with Cincinnati and 3 with Houston to close it out. So the thing I love the most about what I'm seeing, Matthew Boyd, Alex Cobb, Tanner Bybee, those 3 guys right there. I'll stop right there. Those 3 guys in their 19 innings pitched, 2 earned runs when you look at their last 3 starts combined. And if they can get something close to that, where they get 6 innings out of a starter with this pen and the best closer in baseball, 4 runs is what they need to shoot for every game. 5 would be more comfortable, but 4, and that could win them a lot of games down the stretch and in the postseason. The key is, can those guys stay healthy? Boyd coming off the Tommy John surgery. Mm-hmm. Cobb's had the hip issue, the blister, and then the cracked fingernail. So he's got to stay healthy. And you hope that Bybee, can not wear out, because he's going to be pitching more innings or close to what he pitched last year. I haven't looked to see if he's exceeded that yet. So for me, those 3, and then the wild card still is Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams was lights out in his last performance as well. So there's 4 starters right there that 3 out of the 4 Reds should be fresh if they can stay healthy, right?
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. And those 4, I think you pin the hopes of this team finishing. But like we said, if they can get to 92, 93 wins, Kenny, the way I see it and looking at the schedules of KC and the Twins, that's going to be enough. That's going to be enough to win the division. Because you're looking at those Kansas City and Minnesota having to win 17 of their last 22,
right,
to match that 93 win plateau. that's not going to happen. So virtually, we're looking at a baseball team that's got to just play that touch better than 500 baseball here coming down the stretch, and they're going to be fine. And as you just pointed out, I won't go back over the top of you there, but and we'll feel good about those 3-4 starting pitchers going into playoff time in October.
So big Christmas, John Kenzie Noel, Lane Thomas, LT, Kyle Manzardo, now called up. They're calling him Manzo. Okay, that's his nickname, I guess, right? So they've been rotating bats, call-ups from AAA, trying to find that right combination, Reg. And I think he's found something when everybody is healthy going. And let's hope Quan can reheat back up, because he's been in a free fall since making the All-Star game and leading all of Major League Baseball at 352 at the All-Star break. He's closing in on getting into the 280s, Reg. That's how bad it's been.
I know, yeah.
But you get Juan Jimenez, Ramirez, Naylor, Big Christmas, 1 through 5. Throw in a David Fry, 6. That gives me, in my opinion, 6 legitimate big league hitters. For that lineup. And then Lane Thomas, if he could get going, the guy they acquired at the trade deadline, that would give you 7. And then you deal with who's ever catching and playing shortstop after that. So that 1 through 5 or 6 will carry, in my opinion, this offense, or has to carry this offense. And then you just deal with the semi-automatic outs at shortstop and catcher, especially when Hedges is playing.
Yeah. And they're capable of carrying this offense. And again, if they can go 4 or 5 runs every night here, down the stretch, or most nights, they'll be in good shape, Ken.
Yep.
I think because of the way you just, you laid out and put the pitching out there, the starting pitching. And we know that the bullpen, a lot of faith in them, right? A lot of confidence that they will, when necessary, even if they got to come into a game, say, to start the bullpen carousel, say in the 5th inning, which hasn't been the case on too many nights, but you feel good about what they're able to do to stem the tide and keep the Indians, the Guardians, in the game. This has all the makings of a real good finish here for the month of September, winning the division, and then then we can start talking about October baseball and all the special vibe that brings, and nothing like it, as you and I have said a million times, when you put the jackets and the sweaters on and the temperatures in the 50s, low 60s, and you're playing October baseball on those nights here in Cleveland. There's nothing like it, and this team looks like they're I think they've got the goods, Ken, to make that happen. Now, can they win it all? Now we have to get into what's your matchups, right?
Right.
Who you playing? Who do you draw early in the American League playoffs? And so all those things will come into play, but there's time for all of that. But I do like the way that this team is started out and approaching this month of September, as you said, after coming off that rough stretch.
They control their own destiny. That's all you can ask for.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. They're going to come on. If they lose tonight, and it's, I think, going to the 9th, they're down 4-1. They lose tonight, they're 80-60 with 22 left. And you play, of those 22, 16 are at home, 6 are on the road. Check that. Let me see, 13 are at home, 9 are on the road, right. Closing out with the Dodgers and White Sox before having that big homestand. So they control their own destiny. That's all you can ask for. And ideally, yes, would be nice to be the number 1 seed, but no lower than 2, because I want to skip that first round wild card playoff if I can. So just finish 1 or 2 in the American League behind the Yankees, probably, or the Orioles, whoever wins the East. I think you've got enough lead on the Astros. Although, hey, Rich, that last series of the year, final 3 at home may determine who's the 1 or 2 seed in the American League, as they have the cheaters, the Astros, coming to town to close out the regular season.
Well, I got to tell you, Kenny, they have played much better baseball than I thought they would.
Yep.
Throughout the course of this year. So, it's a team that, you got to play good baseball, good solid baseball to be able to beat them. And you're right. That's the final series of the year. But again, right now, probably going to be, what do we say, 80 and 60 after tonight.
Yep.
But Kenny, they play 500 baseball and win 91, maybe 92 games. They're going to be in real good shape. And in essence, that's playing 500 baseball in the final 22.
All right, Reg, we'll get back together after the Browns and the Cowboys on Sunday, see what happens in week number 1, see where the Guardians are at that point, as they'll be out in La La Land taking on the Dodgers, and we'll break it all down for everybody then, all right?
Well, I look forward to that, road man. It won't be better than that, and we'll see what Sunday's all about on the lakefront. Look forward to seeing you then, buddy.
All right, sounds great. Happy football season, everybody. Enjoy it. High school, college, and NFL fans. Best time of the year.